Hey guys, it's Chris and I'm back with another Marvel movie review. I have my buddy Ho here. As you can see, we're fresh out of Spider-Man Far From Home. We're still in our nerd costumes. It's late as hell, but we figured we might as well sit down and do this quick little first reaction type review. Will contain spoilers, by the way, so heads up for that if you haven't seen it yet.
That's how we do it,
Yeah, you can't do a real review without spoilers. Otherwise, you're just saying, that was great acting, great cinematography, the lighting was good, and the CGI was great. Thumbs up, go see it. So yes, spoiler heavy obviously. We have a demon cat running around, so if you see cameras wobble and shit fall and break, that's what's happening.
It's the cat that got Nick Fury's eye.
It might be. We've been calling, what was Flurgins? Is it Flurgin? I've been calling cats Flurgins since Captain Marvel. But first, let me thank my newest Patreon. Thank you to Lady Celtic. Really appreciate the support. As well as my newest channel member, Nomi Lopez. Really appreciate it, you guys. Especially right now with YouTube being broken and not recommending videos. Really appreciate the support, you guys. You guys keep this channel going. Okay, so I will start by saying just kind of a quick overview. And again, we'll get into more detail and spoilers. I thought it was pretty damn good.
Yeah, I liked it.
I went into it, you know, with kind of, not, I wouldn't say low expectations, because I always like Spider-Man movies. He's always been my favorite Marvel character. But I've never dug Mysterio that much, and I thought he was cheesy. And
he does seem a little cheesy. With
the
fishbowl on his head.
The fishbowl thing is just in the weird, almost Thor-like weird. It's almost like a modified, shitty Thor version costume,
like some old 50s sci-fi.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's retro future shit from the 50s.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. Because when he was created was what, the 40s or 50s. So I guess that makes sense. But it's like he went to Party City, you know, and bought some shitty offhand Thor costume and put a bowl in his head. I don't know. I guess I'll start by saying I like how they tied in other movies.
Oh yeah, especially like Iron Man scenes and then that scene from Civil War. Yeah,
they had a lot of Iron Man references, and you saw like people recovering from Tony Stark's death. I like how they referenced the snap, which now they call the blip.
The blip is
for the people
when they come back.
People blipped out or in, or if you blipped, you disappeared.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you were a blipper, they call it the blip. So they referenced that quite a bit, obviously. And you saw actually some scenes this time where people came back. Yeah. So for example, there was a scene in a high school marching band.
It's like a high school marching band, like practicing inside the gymnasium.
Right, so half of them disappeared. You saw people in the stands disappearing when Thanos snapped, and then you saw when they came back, they're playing a basketball game. Obviously, this is 5 years later.
Yeah.
And the same marching band appears right in the middle of the basketball game, in the middle of the game, and a couple of them gets knocked over. And so they did show some of that as far as the Thanos snap.
Nobody were in airplanes when they...
There were people in airplanes. There were definitely people in airplanes.
Now there's like raining. Yeah. After people they brought back. So
God. Anyway, so they did reference some of that. I'm glad. I'll go ahead and say I'm glad they went ahead and took care of Mysterio. I didn't know. That's what I mean when I said I went into it not knowing what to expect as far as the villain.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to follow up an Avengers in-game style event, something that huge, right, with a villain that's worthy of just one person, right? Or you think that every movie now you need 2 or 3 Avengers involved.
Yeah.
And so they found a way to isolate Peter Parker. He was obviously goes on this trip across to London, Europe, etc. with his school. And that's what I loved about I've always loved about Spider-Man and Peter Parker and the story in general is he's a regular high school kid that comes across extraordinary powers. You know, the whole responsibility thing comes along with it. But he's still a kid in love with MJ and all that stuff. And that's what I really dug about it. So they got MJ involved more. She finds out this movie, obviously. And we'll talk about the end credit scene as well. You had, they brought Nick Fury in as well. And then another in-game scene or post-credit scene, I should say. We'll talk about that when we get to it.
Yeah.
But I thought it was odd that Nick Fury was a little harsh, and I was thinking he was kind of being a dick to Peter Parker the entire time.
If I was Peter, I would have been like, listen, listen, I know you mean well, but you're not my damn boss.
Exactly. You do find out in the post-credit scene, and that was the big theme throughout was, again, I'm just kind of they've already started this in Avengers and all that stuff, right, with Tony Stark. But I'm just kind of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I'm like small potatoes. I just take care of shit around here. And you're asking me to do all this big, save the world stuff.
Yeah.
which he obviously was pulled into an Endgame.
And because he's got like a life outside of Spider-Man.
Yeah, and he still wants to be a normal kid and go about living a normal life, and that's why he stays anonymous as Peter Parker and doesn't come out like Tony Stark did, saying, "Yeah, I'm Iron Man."
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the appeal of the story for me anyway, and this really portrayed that a lot. You had Happy in there. Obviously, people were mourning Tony Stark still. That was shown all over the world.
Well, I do like how they addressed the snap. So they've had time to kind of, I guess, deal with integrating back into his life.
Yeah, right. What was really good was he's handed these glasses.
Yeah.
I really like the part where it was almost the passing of the torch. Now, I don't think Spider-Man can be like a full Iron Man with the capabilities.
With the plus like the leadership abilities.
The leadership abilities. That comes with age and time and whatever. That's why Captain America was kind of the captain of the team, and Tony Stark was kind of the other one. There were co-captains, which, we already seen in Civil War. He gets these glasses from Tony Stark. It was a gift for him, and he named them. It's basically Alexa. It's a glasses Alexa version. It's Google Glasses is what it is. Google Glass. But yeah, what was the name?
Even
in death, I'm still the hero.
Yeah, even dead, I'm the hero.
Even dead, I'm the hero. So what is that acronym? So that's Edith.
Yeah.
So Edith is the glasses. That's the voice in the glasses, and she can. I really dug that technology.
Yeah.
Not only can he like turn and talk to Edith, in his own head, basically. I guess he's talking out loud, so people think he's crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Edith hears him, and he can read text messages and all this stuff and access whatever he sees. But he's in control of actual Stark Industries weaponized satellites.
Yeah.
So that's what the whole story was with Mysterio. He fought these cheesy elemental monsters. We thought they were cheesy.
Yeah.
And then turns out it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
It's all Mysterio playing up, and I like how they tied into the backstory of old Stark employees. Basically that's the motivation of Mysterio coming back. He disgruntled employee, he fired him, etc. Then he got along. He formed a union, is what he did with all these other disgruntled Stark employees, and they came up with this technology where basically it's tied into this big holographic thing that was going on. So Mysterio was never fighting these creatures.
No, he was never. He wasn't even on scene.
He wasn't on scene. He was just. It was a complete projection. But the damage actually came from the drones.
They were able to like cloak themselves.
Yeah, they were cloaked drones, so it actually did the damage. They were essentially in this hologram, and they would, wherever the action was, they would actually damage something with weaponry.
Yeah, which I thought it was cool how they pulled that off.
Yeah. So that's what at least it explained it, and it was, I think, Mysterio, the character, overly cheesy because the idea was him selling himself as the next Avenger, save the world type of guy to get back at Tony Stark now that he's dead and basically take over and become this hero, this fake hero where he's not really doing anything.
I did like that it wasn't just him, it wasn't just a one-man show with him. He had tech support basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and it was like more believable. He could pull off what he's pulling off with the team behind him.
Right, and I like how they used MJ a little bit in this, not only for the love story interest of Peter Parker. She was instrumental in a way because she found a piece of this. It was one of the things that actually projected holograms, and that's how finally Peter Parker and MJ get together. They finally, he's coming up with this plan, and that's the comedy side of it, right? He comes up with this plan to go on this trip and buy her this certain necklace and take her up to the Eiffel Tower and tell her how he feels.
Yeah, and of course, this Peter Parker, so nothing goes right.
Nothing goes right. Nothing goes to plan. He gets hijacked by Nick Fury and the gang saying, "You got to step up." Basically, that was kind of the theme. What are you going to do? Now that Tony Stark's gone, he trusted you. He recruited you. They go on their little romantic walk where she figures out he's Spider-Man. She already kind of knew. She was only 67% sure that he was Spider-Man. But I mean, she brought up Washington and this trip when everybody's together, he runs off and he disappears, and all of a sudden Spider-Man's there. So she knew it. She's watching him. It was really more about him. That was again the theme. That's what I enjoyed about it. The real kid with these powers, and he's got a love interest and trying to pursue that.
And he's kind of
and it's this choice, it's this choice weighing on him in the wake of Tony Stark's death. He is still that little kid, is not the grown-up adult that's seen everything and has all the answers. That's what makes him intriguing to me.
Yeah, one thing if you notice during the movie, which might be easy to miss, is his Peter Tingle.
Yeah, the Peter Tingle. Right.
He's crossing to the illusion of getting inside of it to defeat it. And like his eyes like move up and down. They went straight black. It's like he's just like he closed his eyes.
Yeah,
he
figured out his Jedi sense. So apparently there was something where his spider sense, as he calls it, the sixth sense,
like he hadn't like developed.
Like it hadn't really developed. We saw his arm hair stand up in Endgame.
Yeah.
But really, it's just still developing. So he accepted that, and like you said, closed his eyes and went through and was able to sense where everything was.
Yeah, it's like he didn't open them back up until it kind of got like.
Yeah, I think that's a big misconception with people who are not into comics and stuff. Is that's a huge part of why he's not just agile and just fast. He uses that throughout. It's almost like a Jedi.
Yeah.
Jedi don't just fight with a lightsaber by swinging a stick. The Force is actually guiding them in ways.
That's like why he's able to like dodge.
That's why exactly. Really dug the part when Happy rescues him basically from another country because he wakes up. He gets hit by a train and wakes up in another country, in the Netherlands, I believe.
Yeah.
Calls Happy up. He comes to get him in the jet, and Stark has this badass technology. And he sits here and watches Peter for a second as he's going through making a new suit.
Yeah,
and it reminded him of Tony.
Yeah, definitely like when Tony's like in the first Iron Man movie, he's like puts his arm in the hologram
and gets it out, and you see it around his hand.
Peter's doing all this stuff. I mean, it's not just like making a cosmetic suit. He's like involved in putting the technology in there.
He's going through every piece that he wants for technology, for fit, for color, everything, and building it. And then it's like a 3D printer. On this plane. So that was pretty cool. And so you got a little hint of black suit Spider-Man with the what they call him, the night monkey, and that was kind of funny.
European knockoff.
Yeah, it was a European knockoff of Spider-Man in America, because how could he be over in Europe? He's never been there before, and so that was funny. And then everywhere he went, oh no, the night monkey.
So I was like, at first when it looks like a cool suit, but it's like definitely looks like a Spider-Man suit. You know what I mean?
Oh
with
yeah,
it's like they didn't do that great of a job.
Thing. So it was a little hint at because they played back in black when he made his new suit, which was black and red. Yeah. Which I thought really looked good. I like the suit. I like the the little wings, just like the comics. And he made it to a full what do you call them now? Almost the glider suits.
A little bit of glider stuff.
He's always had the little web. This went further this time. I think it was a little bit more when he did the full gliding scene. So that was really cool. The little parachute, obviously, when he's dropping from high altitudes, it was different this time. It wasn't just a regular parachute. It let him fall at a slower rate, but fast enough to get down quick as well. So all the technology is always great in these type of things when you're dealing with Stark Industries or Tony Stark in any way. And it was a big tribute to Iron Man. It was. I think this closes out Phase 4, or Phase 3. I'm sorry, into Phase 4. So we don't know what's coming next. Obviously, we know we have Black Panther 2. We have a Thor 4, I believe. We got Black Widow coming. We don't know the slate yet. That's supposed to be coming out fairly shortly.
What it is.
So anyway, before we go, we got to talk really quickly about these these post-credit scenes. There were two. So the mid-credit scene was. Let me see if I got them. I might have them backwards.
That's where his identity.
So this was what's surprising. You had him. He's on a date with MJ. They're back in New York or whatever, and he's going to meet MJ. He meets her. He takes her for a swing.
She's scared shitless.
She shits her pants a little bit. She's scared to death, but they're on there, and he has to go or whatever. He hops on this light pole, and then a breaking story. So Mysterio, while they were fighting in the end of the battle, he had recorded the whole thing. Apparently, he had a phone over here the whole time, or
maybe
some
that's
kind
why that guy was downloading.
That's actually
Maybe.
That makes sense. That's probably what it was. That was like the final thing. So that might have been what he was downloading. Actually, that makes sense because there's no reason to bring that back in any movie, like something that he downloaded. So that makes sense. So they put it up on the big screen, and then we see Jameson come back from the original Spider-Man.
Yeah, which I thought was...
Which is, of course, if you don't know Jameson, he's the guy at the Daily Bugle. And are you serious? That guy.
Yeah, dailybugle.net now.
Exactly. So he breaks this story, and basically Mysterio had basically edited the footage to make it look like Spider-Man called in these drones to kill all these people.
Yeah, it's like Spider-Man was the evil guy.
And he made him look like the bad guy in Europe when he was actually saying was execute the commands to shut everything down.
Yeah.
He made it sound like he said execute them. And at the very end he says, and Spider-Man's name is Peter, and it cuts off.
Yeah, I thought that was going to cut
and it
off
was
just
done.
there.
But then of course they fooled us. They trolled us hard. And then he came back on the screen and said a full-fledged Spider-Man's name is Peter Parker, and it cuts off.
Yeah, that was like really surprising.
So I didn't really dig that because I don't know how they recover from that. Number one. It's too soon in his story to reveal who he is. I didn't like that portion of it. You know what I mean? As far as actually revealing his identity this soon into his story. He's still in high school, like we was talking about, just now got with MJ. It's way too early for that in the typical Spider-Man stories.
Which, well, I mean, that could like turn out to be an advantage, though. It could make things more interesting, like at school.
It's true. It would be a different story because we have seen the same Spider-Man story for literally decades. So anyway, you had that, and then the post-credit scene. It really didn't do much, but what you find out is that if you've seen Captain Marvel, you're familiar with the Kree and all that. Captain Marvel,
Kree and the Skrulls.
The Kree and the Skrulls. So she had went off on the end of Captain Marvel to help them find a place of refuge, the Kree, right?
Yeah.
So that come to find out, the entire time, Nick Fury and his assistant, I always forget her name.
Maria Hill?
Maria Hill, thank you. This is why I have Ho here. He knows all these fucking characters I forget. But Maria, they were the Skrulls the whole time from Captain Marvel, impersonating Nick Fury and her. And all it was like he was on vacation on this far-off place, apparently the colony where she went and found them a place to live, I'm assuming.
I guess so.
So Nick Fury was actually there the whole time, spending time, I don't know why, on vacation, whatever, because he was like laying out in front of a hologram, like he was on the beach. And the Skrulls called him from Earth after they changed back to the normal self and said, look, we gave him the glasses and everything, but all kinds of shit went crazy.
Yeah.
But everything's cool now. So it ended up being that it was never really Nick Fury, but that explains why he was being a little too harsh on Peter Parker. Like, you're supposed to check in with me, don't ghost me and all this shit and leave me on read, send me to voicemail. I'm Nick Fury, motherfucker. Kind of like that attitude. And that kind of explains that now, that it wasn't, he just took on his persona. So Nick Fury was not in this movie until the post-credit scene, the actual Nick Fury. So I don't know really what that was for.
Yeah, I have no idea what they're saying.
Yeah, I don't know what that points to other than that being that outpost, like we mentioned from Captain Marvel, that we never saw. We just knew it was going to happen. I don't know how that sets up Phase 4 or anything, but anyway, that's what it was. Anyway, I think we'll wrap it up there. We're probably rambling too long. Overall, great movie. Exceeded my expectations. I thought it would be okay, but it was a lot better than I thought it would be. Is basically what it boils down to.
I assumed it was probably good, but it was like a little bit better than what I thought.
Anyway, guys, we'll wrap it up. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Have you seen Spider-Man Far From Home, and what did you think? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.